Hi there, Prey Plant Girl here. So today I'm out in the garden and I'm going to be harvesting my Norland potatoes. So this bed in front of me here was all planted with Norland potatoes. I can't actually remember how many I had planted here. Looks like I have a tag there that says I had 15 from seed potatoes that I'd purchased, and they go up to this stake, so from here and then a little bit of a row over to the stake here, and then the rest were from my saved seed. And so I have about 2.5 rows of my saved seed versus 1.5 of the purchased seed potato. So far I've actually dug some up in that corner closest to you there, and they haven't been spectacular yields, so I'm not really sure what I'm going to get out of this year, but they're well past time to be dug up here. The plants have been died back for a while, and it's been so dry I've just been leaving them here, but now we've been getting rain, and so I think it's time to get these gathered up out of the soil here before they decide to resprout, and get them hardened off and stored away. I have more potatoes behind me. There's several different varieties in the beds behind me there. Some are Norlands as well, and then I have some others, Sangre, Green Mountain, French Fingerling. I can't remember, a whole bunch of different varieties. Anyways, I think there's something like 6 or 8 varieties back there, as well as some of my potatoes that are grown in my fabric bags. So I'll have more potato harvests to go, but these are the earliest of all the potatoes, and they are definitely the most ready to come out. The rest have just died back in the last week. I'd say they've really just died right back. So I'll get these out, and I'll probably do the rest in another video. But let's get these out of the ground and see what we wind up with. So I had already pulled out some from the plants over on this side here, but I have another plant here. I'm just gonna kind of pull the stems out of the way. Some volunteer squash coming. So let's just see if we can find any potatoes down in here. I actually think I'd wound up taking, when I was digging off the plant beside this one, I think I wound up taking some of the potatoes from it. I plant them close together, so sometimes it's hard to tell when I'm popping potatoes out which plant they're coming from. And this will be into the next plant here. So yeah, that's about what I've been getting off the last plants. You know, a few smaller ones, a few larger ones. I think it's just too dry this year. Even with the irrigation I have on here, it was hard to keep them just wet enough. And with the heat, I think it just was hard on the plants. They were healthy plants, just stressed plants. But I'm just gonna do a quick go through of this bed, and I'll show you what I get in the end. This is what I dug up out of about half a bed, plus those few that I dug up at the beginning of the video there. They're in my bucket already. So yeah, it's not going to be the best potato harvest that I've had, but they're beautiful. They're nice, clean, they're good looking potatoes. And these are the ones from my saved seed potatoes. So yeah, it's not going to be a momentous harvest by the looks of things, but they're going to be good, healthy potatoes. And they already look like they'd started to kind of harden off a little bit. They're getting a little bit of a thicker skin. So that's good. That's what I like, when I can leave them in the ground and let that happen. I think you can see like the small size of some of them in that, and you know, usually I would get some that are twice the size or more than these, and I'm not getting that this year. But most of them are way up at the surface, and like I plant my seed potatoes quite deep. So for them to be all up at the surface like this tells me that they really were looking for water. And I have these little soaker lines that I use. A lot of them seemed like they weren't working well this year, and it was just so dry. We went for, I think it was 2.5 months with no moisture and higher temperatures than we normally have, like in the 30s Celsius, very consistently. So I think just the lack of moisture is why I'm seeing potatoes like this. I don't think there's anything wrong with the soil or the nutrients or anything. I think it's just lack of moisture being where they're all, like some of them are just barely under the mulch, and I pull the mulch away, they're sitting right at the surface there. So like this is the first half. I'm going to dump these in my cart, dig out the other half, and then I'll let you see the final product. But they're a little bit wet now. We've had some rain lately. A little bit too late for this year's harvest, but be good for next year to have some of that groundwater. But get these put in my cart and start on the next side. I think this corner here gave me almost as much as I had already pulled out, maybe not quite. I did notice I had a couple of hills in the second row from the outside on the far side of the bed here that I hadn't quite done. So I've done a little more than just this quarter of the bed. But it's not even a quarter of the bed, it's about a third. But so I dump these potatoes and then I'll work on the rest here, and oh, we're getting close to done this job. Hey, Bus. You coming to help? You coming to help? Yeah. Okay, so from this stake over, that's what's left here. See, right at the surface. Well, that's the last bit. Get these in my bucket and we'll see what we have. Well, that's certainly not the best harvest of potatoes that I've ever had, but given the season that we've had, I think this is pretty good. They're beautiful, healthy potatoes, and I'd rather have fewer healthy potatoes than loads of scabby, ugly potatoes that aren't usable. And considering how close to the surface that they were growing, the mulch was doing its job, because none of them came up over the mulch that I found, and so none of them are green or sunburned, rotten, and they're looking pretty good. So I will be leaving these in my cart in a shady spot, so they're not in direct sun. I'll actually put that burlap that I was setting them on, I'll put it over top just to give them some shade. And it's cool out enough right now with the days that we're having that they'll be perfect out here. It'll be perfect temperature, you know, in the teens Celsius or even a little bit lower, to just let them harden off that last little bit, get their skins toughened up. I'm not going to wash them, and I'll keep them out of any rain or anything that we're having. Probably stick them in my cold frame. But then once they're dried off a bit more, and I'll just come along and wipe off some of the soil, loose soil and dirt and that, and then I'll just put them in some bags that I've made, or covered breathable buckets, so that they can store in a cool place for the winter as I use them up. I have videos on how I do that, so I'll link those for you and you can check it out. And stay tuned if you want to see how the rest of my potatoes turned out, because I have several varieties I've never grown before, and I'm eager to see how they turned out as well. And I also have that bucket of Norlands that was just a real low fabric bucket that I was experimenting with this year. Probably wasn't the best year for experimenting with that, but we still need to dump that out and see how it did. So if you enjoy potato harvests and you want to see some more, then stay tuned to my channel, and there'll be lots of potato harvests coming up. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.